I think this is the biggest, this whole change is the biggest use of opium I've ever seen, and that's other people's money. You know, and there's lots of different ways that you can do it, very inexpensively. You know, you got 200,000 books you've sold online. That's freaking phenomenal. And most authors in this room and outside this room would give their right leg for that. I mean, without question. And probably one of your characters in their book probably gave one. Which makes it cool. Now, but I mean, one of the things Gary did I thought was pretty innovative. When you used Twibbins, So you were I think the very first author, and when I saw that, I said, that's freaking smart. And I stole it, and I put mine up with it right after you did it, because mine came out afterwards, but I did that. And then that got me to, then I created, if you go on my website, you can actually find it under my book, and it's called Ask Jeff, or Help Jeff. And it's 12 plus things you can do to ask your friends to help you make a bestseller. And Twibbin was one of those. Ask people to buy
Just
the
to
books.
explain to everybody who doesn't know, Twibbin allows you to hit one button and put an image over your Twitter profile picture. And so for me, it was about impressions, right? You think about marketing. My hope was that my little book cover would be covering your face, and then your friends would be like, what the heck is that? Oh, that's for Gary Vee, and that would lead to conversation. And that's why I still think.
But people aren't doing it, though. I still don't get what the hell they're going to do. It's because people are stupid. It's free.
I'm kidding. Because innovation takes time, right? Yeah. Innovation takes time. People are scared to try new things. People are also not that deep into it. I think one of the biggest things I know is that, like, we can all talk about Twitter and Facebook. How many people here don't lie because lying is the devil? How many people here have answered a question on Quora? Raise your hand, don't lie. So it's about 8%. Now, maybe 20%. How about this? How many people have never heard of Quora? It's okay. Just raise your hand. More people have never even heard of Quora than have used it. Quora is a Q&A site that's either going to end up sucking and be Yahoo Answers, or it's going to be phenomenal and end up being Wikipedia, but it doesn't matter. It's happening, right? I mean, Tumblr. How many people have a Tumblr account? Raise your hand. Tumblr's starting to go mainstream. How many people have never even heard of Tumblr? Raise your hand. Tumblr's doing its thing. But still, only half the room is using Tumblr. Tumblr's the greatest, curation pusher of content on the web today, right now. Right. Facebook, Twitter, fine. I'll bet you that if you look at some of the numbers, it's incredible. So there's a lot of things that are out there, whether it's Instagram or Quora or GetGlue, or, how many people are using GetGlue? Nice job. A lot of this is a savvy crowd, but still, as savvy as this crowd is, look where we are on an afternoon in New York City at BlogWorld, and still we're seeing less than 50% to these questions. I think people very much don't understand how to innovate and/or are not using as much in social media as they think. Just because you have a Facebook and a Twitter account doesn't mean you're using all the tools that are possible to extend the game.
And how do you suggest they stay on top of every new thing coming out? It is
don't sleep.
Overwhelming. Okay, if they want to sleep and stay on top of things, what are some of your suggestions?
Drugs help.
Listen, I think things like TechMeme, National TechCrunch help. They're writing about the products that are out there. Anybody can follow those things. I think that's one thing. I think the fact that you're here.
These things, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's coming to blog. I saw, where's Larry today? Where's Larry? Stand up. Where are you at? Come on, Larry, where are you at?
He left.
There, no, he's right there. He's over there. Larry runs Speakers and Authors Networking Group. Just happened in LA. He had about, a couple hundred of the most influential authors and speakers in the world at this event. And all the people did was sit around a room and trade ideas of how to do things. And in fact, this is one of the biggest topics on Sunday afternoon was, just how do you move into this new media with publishing. So
I think everybody's become a one and two trick pony. I mean, every time we go to social media conferences, all we talk about is Facebook and Twitter. There's an obnoxious amount of things going on out there, and the reason, to me, at some level, those two platforms become less interesting because everybody else is doing the work for me. I don't have to innovate in that. Twibbin and little subtle things like that, Tumblr, GetGlue.
Yeah, but even LinkedIn. I mean, but I guarantee you that most people don't even use it to the effectiveness. So, I mean, there's things that we did, in terms of looking at our competition in terms of books, and then buying wherever they would start to mention those books. Then I would buy ads on Facebook, and I would buy ads of people so that would pop up in different phrases and different words by different zip codes, and so
execution.
And we spend anywhere from $50 to $250 a day driving sales. I did DMs on Twitter, which some people got upset with, but I only had 18 people that got upset, but I drove thousands because
auto DMs.
Huh?
Auto DMs?
I didn't use auto. Well,
You did it by hand?
no, we did some auto DMs too. Yeah, I got it.
No, listen,
I got some people don't like that.
Yeah, listen. You're
But
welcome
I
to
remember
it.
on one campaign I had 18 negatives on the auto DM.
You got 18
But I
negatives.
sold.
You got 18 negatives that you know about.
I got it, but I sold over.
You got 18 negatives that you know about.
I got that, but if you don't, here's my deal. You don't like it, you don't want to follow, no problem.
You know what? I respect that. And
That's the key.
listen, I think that's an important thing, and I think what's more important than that, hardcore stuff at the end, which I got excited about, is that it's kind of the way I look at a piano. What's the ROI of a piano for me? Zero, because I have no idea how to play it. The ROI of a piano for Elton John is a shitload of money. And so, sure, people don't, listen, Jeff, the reason you're able to do what you do is you think of this as business. It's why I like you. Like, for me, when I go into clients and when I do my stuff, this is all business, right? I don't want to rock climb and drink tea and go kumbaya. This is about, we're here talking about business. And so there's absolutely ways to make this stuff work for you. It's measurable, back to you knowing that data. The problem is there's an enormous lack of, listen, I got myself maybe into trouble, maybe not into trouble. I did TechCrunch TV the other day and I said 99.5% of all social media experts are clowns, right? And it caused a little bit of a stir. But it's, but I'm watching what's going on out there and people are just regurgitating the same stuff. Nobody's being creative trying things. What I've always loved about you is that you, and I believe in it firmly, I call it ping pong and thank you economy. I love traditional media. There's a couple things I don't like about it. I think the pricing is off in 2011 because it's a new world, but using traditional with new media, I put outdoor media for this. Anybody living in New York, I don't know if you saw it, there was outdoor media for Thank You Economy. I put up my phone number on billboards in New York saying, call me if you have questions. I was answering them. There's ways to do things. I think that there's just a huge lack of skill in the early days of a platform that's changing the way we do business.
But then I get back to my thing. I mean, so would I try that again or would I do that again? I don't know. I have to weigh it against the consequences.
Sure.
But the key thing is you got to look at all this. What's right for you and what's right for someone else is two different things or three different things. You try it. You play with it. What happens if you freaking make a mistake?
I agree.
No one died. Okay? So move on. Try something else and try it again. And do we make mistakes in the way in which we launched our
Yes,
program?
right.
Goddamn right we did.
But if you're not trying,
one
you
night
make
staying up
mistakes.
and almost throwing up. Oh my God, it's over. What the hell?
What
And the
about
next-
the folks who don't have the kinds of marketing budgets that you're talking
It's
about?
free. I mean, for the most part, most of the stuff is free. I mean,
Paid advertising.
Then you go to search.twitter. Search.twitter.com, in my opinion,
Yeah,
if
that's
you've got
right.
no cash, is the game. It's how I built Wine Library TV. It was called Surmise.com. And then we're doing a shitload of talking. She told you exactly what to do. Go to forums, create a true community, and she did. She executed. Listen, when I did Wine Library TV, I spent no money. I went to Surmise.com. You guys remember that? That's what search was. And I searched Chardonnay, and I became part of the community. She drilled it. She
How
wasn't
much the
selling.
wristbands, Gary?
Yeah, the wristbands were like 90 cents, right? And that was later down the line, right? I mean, I believe in that stuff, and I believe in the big boy marketing stuff. But the little dirty, I don't want to know how much money you have or how much press you have. I want to know how much dirt you're willing to put underneath your fingers. That's when I know you've got a shot. And that's what she executed. She didn't sell 200,000 books. HP didn't sell 200,000 books by accident. That 3 hours was probably 4.5 because she was working so hard and she didn't know how long she was doing it. She went into the forums, became part of the community, and and she was creative.
Right, absolutely. Hey, by the way, we must have some questions from the audience and microphones. Rick, David, microphones out there. Let's
stand up over here,
Gotta
stand
talk
up,
loud.
and I'll get you. Hopefully someone will yell. No, they're not, so just yell.
Alright, so is Twitter over? Is everyone on Twitter just social media in the room, or is the consumer really on Twitter?
So here's the way I describe it. My daughter is also my publicist is here, and she's the one that gave me the best answer at Lindsay Hayzlett, by the way. Give her a shout out, what the hell?
Lindsay with an E.
Yeah, that's right. I describe it, I look at them all. I'm going to say Twitter, I'm going to get to Twitter as well. LinkedIn to me is kind of like Main Street, and that's the way I look at it. And Twitter is kind of like my front porch and my front yard. And Facebook to me is the inside of my house and my living room. And so the people that I let in or do in different ways, that's the way I approach things. And so I treat each one of those communities differently in the way in which I approach. I like Twitter personally myself because that's just the way I express myself in my micro-blogging. And I do it continually throughout the day. And if you like my stuff, you follow me. If you don't like it, I don't care. And that's the way I look at it. But so it's not over. And I can tell you it's not over, and there's going to be different things that are coming out. I'm watching companies like People Browser and others that are actually monetizing it in different ways and utilizing it. I can go in and find out different communities. I can go in and take any name, any brand, for instance. Let me give you an example. Adidas. You would think Adidas, number one influential community of Adidas is supposed to be, if I asked you what would be, you would say it's athletes. It's the athletic community. Number one influential community for Adidas, musicians. And so here's their marketing.
I would have thought that, but I might just be a little cooler than you.
Yeah, well, you drink a lot of wine, so you're drunk most of the time. So there you go. So you think of things differently, right? And but my point is that it's going to work differently for different people depending on what it is. Her crowd, Facebook, I would say all over it. Mine, not so much. You know, yours, I don't know. I mean, yours is a lot of Twitter.
You know, I have a little insight in this. I've spent some time with those guys over there. Their big growth right now is happening at the 16, 17-year-old girl level because the high school girl is following the celebrity on Twitter. That's their biggest growth right now. And so it's kind of like when the pretty girl goes in, I think you're going to start seeing the dudes go in, and that's what they're starting to see, like the 15, 16, 17-year-old guys that are in high school with these girls are jumping in. It's stunning how much more growth it has. I think the problem with our society right now is that we're all ADD'd out. I mean, Twitter's a baby. It has a lot of time to evolve and what have you. I can tell you right now, how many of you guys have started using Twitter, the Twitter ad platform? Forget about promoted tweets, which are $120,000 to be a promoted trend, excuse me. How many of you started playing with promoted tweets? Raise your hand. So look how small that is. Let me tell you something. The conversion on promoted tweets is incredible. So when you search something, you get the first tweet up there. I've been playing around with it. I think it's far from over. It could die. Here's what's really cool. It doesn't really matter at the top line thesis, right? It's like if you made a relationship with somebody when you were on vacation in Las Vegas, and you made a relationship with them, you guys hung out the whole time with couples, and then you went back to Cincinnati and they went to Florida, you can still have that relationship. What matters is making relationships where they can be made. Twitter is one of those places, and if Twitter fades out and everybody goes to schmagagaga.org, you'll have those relationships there. And that's the more important part. I think people worry, I really don't give a rat's ass if Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr are here tomorrow or not. I care about the relationships I can make on that, and then we'll all go hang out in the new place.
We had a question in the back. Right back there, go ahead.
Biggest marketing mistake, what? Each of us have made.
I don't know if I've made it yet. I mean, I'm going to make it. I know that. You know, I mean, I make them every day. You make them. I mean, you make them every day. I will tell you that doing auto DMs wasn't my brightest moment, but it did work, and I don't think I would do it that way again. So we do it a different way today. So that was one. But there, I mean, I'll tell you, I'll make another one. I hope I make another one. I want to make mistakes, and the reason I want to make mistakes is I want to find out what works and what works well. And so my whole thesis, if you're reading the book, The Mirror Test, is about going out there and get out there and make as many freaking mistakes as you possibly can and make them big, because if you make them big, you're going to have big gains. So I'm going to make more. I'm going to make more. I spent a lot too much money on trying to set up on the book tour, and I let it be much more organic too. That was the other thing. I did a lot more tweet ups and things that really helped me. How about you, HP?
I don't really know.
When you sell 200,000 books, quite frankly, you haven't made any fucking mistakes.
I can't, I've done a lot of testing. I've done a lot of price testing, testing of content and description pages on Barnes & Noble and Amazon, but I wouldn't say that any of those were necessarily mistakes because I learned from all of them, and I didn't lose money from them either, so.
You're going to struggle to get people that have had success in marketing to answer that question because making mistakes has so much value. When you're able to check off, like not good, it's unbelievable how much more efficient I was with Thank You Economy than I was with Crush It, because I know what I spent a lot of time and effort on that didn't pay dividends. I would probably say the biggest marketing mistake I made is actually somewhat recent. At Wine Library, my retail family business in New Jersey, I actually told them that I wanted to do direct mail. We did a flyer last year during holiday season, mainly because I wanted to know that it was really, really dead, right? And I just wanted to confirm it for myself, but it's so darn expensive, and we did it so well, and I just wanted to put that final nail in the coffin, and direct mail is even more dead than I thought. I mean, direct mail is like ding dong, it's over. If you're a direct mail here, shit. actually spend
On social media.
on social
Yeah,
media.
you personally. That's what you asked, right?
Two-part question.
And then the second one is how do you
I got the
organize
first
it?
one. I mean, I spend all of it that isn't scheduled with meetings and other things that I'm doing. Literally, like, if I'm in a taxi ride coming here, I go to search.twitter and see everybody who's talking to me, and I try to reply as many people as possible. I go on facebook.com/Gary, see the comments, try to reply to it. I'm spending more and more time on the thing I just talked about, which is like the Get Blues and the Tumblrs. And, I think that, knowing your craft is super important. So I'm spending a lot of time learning and trying things, the Twitter ads I just spoke about. I'm executing a lot more lately, and I'm trying to do more of that. But at one point, from 07 to 09, as I was building Wine Library TV, it was in the ballpark of 11 to 12 hours a day, right? And now, in the right day, it can be 45, 6 hours, or it can be like 45 minutes if my schedule's obnoxious, but if I'm traveling, like I'm going to Croatia from Dallas on Thursday, I'll be in the plane the whole time. But if there's Wi-Fi, there'll be hours in there. So anytime I can, I am. I'm either answering email, I'm in full-time engagement mode. 24/7, 365, that isn't allocated for thinking for my clients at the VaynerMedia side, or trying to help the Wine Library team continue to grow without me being there day to day. As far as the implementation of trying to stay ahead of it with the teammates, there's two things I'm really passionate about with VaynerMedia. We have over 30 employees. One, fire fast, right? I'm willing to hire anybody. I think people don't recognize that firing fast matters. We're trying to hire the smartest and the hungriest people we can. Our competitive advantage in corporate, Jeff can speak to this more, is that we're not trying to make huge margins on everything. We're just trying to deliver for our clients. We don't build for every time we sneeze, right? We're just trying to be as raw as possible, so that's important. As far as keeping up with this stuff, yeah, I have, Marcus, one of my favorite guys at VaynerMedia, sends me a couple of headlines every morning because he gets up early and he'll look and he'll send some stuff to me. But I'm really deep in the trenches, my man. Last night I spent 5 hours recording my audiobook. I'm going to this party that we should all come to afterwards here, right at 404. I've just tweeted about it. We should all go there. I'm going to go there. I'm going to then go and do another 5 hours of my audiobook tonight to finish it off because I have to finish it off because I want to get it out in time for Father's Day. It's going to be 2 in the morning. I'm going to be hyped up because I just did the audiobook, and I'm going to drink a lot of things to keep me awake, like Coke and Starbucks. It's going to be 2 in the morning. I'm going to get home, and I guarantee I'm going to put an hour into knowing what the hell is going on. What's going on with the Foursquare Groupon deal? Who's growing out of left field, right? Search wine terms on Quora to see if I can answer a question. Look at everything that came in. At the end of the day, it comes down to execution, right? Ideas and theory are fine and dandy, but you can't read about push-ups. You've got to do them, and I do them.
Yeah, I'm so glad that wine is decaffeinated. I imagine what it would be like caffeinated wine. How much time do you spend, HP?
2 hours.
Yeah, and I spend about the same. Do you have any staff at all?
Just me.
Yeah, and I have publicists and some other people like that help me do the interviews and so forth, and then a PR firm. But I spend about 2 hours a day on my own stuff. I write my own tweets. I do my own stuff. My team might help me retweet, where I'll call and say, hey, retweet that, because I just can't literally get to one of the 2 phones I'm carrying at a time. And then I have a social media person who is behind the scenes, kind of like a choreographer. The best word is an architect. Is making sure I get my Facebook page done the way I want. It's watching stuff on LinkedIn because I get requests, tens of requests a day just to recommend people and do those kind of things. So I stay pretty up on LinkedIn a little bit more than the average person. But I think we all spend it. It's all different, Larry, for different people. But I think when you get to a certain level, you have somebody that's helping you, and I think that's what you do. And I'm not a real believer in outsourcing that stuff. I think it's hard to be genuine and outsource it. And I think I've seen most authors and most content providers or originators, and I think that's the way we describe ourselves, is that's what they would do.
Well, thank you all for your genuine responses today and great feedback to this audience. So thanks for having us here.
Thank you guys.